see that you're interested in the topic, interested in the certification. Awesome. Just to let you know, this webinar is being recorded. So for colleagues who are not able to join in today, we will be sharing the recording and possibly with all of you as well. I think that's the plan. Thank you, Rakesh. Tracking level 4 makes me curious. Haven't been able to do it in these years. Totally hear you. Takes some work, takes some practice.
Huh?
Wonderful. So we're just going to give it one more minute while some of you are still filling out the poll, and then we'll go ahead and start. We don't want to make you wait for too long. Amit, are you trying to annotate on the slide? In-depth approach of level 3 and 4. So while we're waiting, just wanted to bring to your attention that today's session, we will touch a little bit, mainly only on the definitions of the 4 levels, but spend more time in understanding the process of what happens, when you are certified. How do you go about getting certified is just one part of it, but how does your journey take off once you have been certified? So for that, we have our colleague Benefer here. She's been a certified professional with Kirkpatrick for the last year or so, and she's been working quite hard within her organization on. Could you please mute yourself, everybody?
Okay.
Jijit, can you mute all participants, please?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jijit. Okay, wonderful. So we're getting some good responses to know more about Kirkpatrick levels, to learn about the concept and how we can apply practically in our function. Absolutely. Those are the kind of things that we will talk about with Benefer, what kind of experiences she had, what kind of challenges she had, and so on. So without further ado, let me stop sharing this and move to our slide deck so that we can start off the session. Just give me a moment here.
ईयरफोन काम करना बंद हो गया क्या?
Sorry, just give me a moment.
नहीं, यहाँ पे कुछ गड़बड़ हो गई. ये क्या मेरा हेडफोन है ना?
Okay, so we're good to go. Thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you for being here today. My name is Preeti, and we have, like I said, my friend Benefer here today with you. Benefer, you want to quickly say hi to everybody and tell them who you are?
Hi, guys. Yeah, sure. So I'm Benefer. I have been a part of eClerk services for the last 11 and a half years. And I just undertook my bronze certification with Kirkpatrick. PP was the guide then and since then. It's been a great journey. I am here to share my learnings with you, along with learnings, a lot of challenges, maybe some best practices that you guys can take back. So yeah, really looking forward to this session, Preeti. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Benaifer. I'm sure your experiences will be very useful to all the participants that we have here today. So thank you for taking the time to do this. Hi, everybody. My name is Preeti, and I am a Kirkpatrick certified professional here. So Kirkpatrick Gold is the highest level of certification that is available, and I completed that about 3 years ago. I did my first level of certification with Kirkpatrick almost 6-7 years ago, and it's been a wonderful journey since then. So I do a lot of public workshops, a lot of consulting with organizations, a lot of working with organizations to understand what their evaluation needs are and try and help set up processes for them to, do the evaluation the way they would like to do. So I know that you're here to, some of you said you want to understand the process. Some of you said you want to know how the certification works. So we'll try and answer as many of those questions as possible. But I thought it's also important for us to set the base a little bit and to help you at least understand what is Kirkpatrick. So we'll start with that. Long ago in the 1960s, Donald Kirkpatrick was the one who came up with the 4 levels of certification. But since then, his son Jim and Wendy Kirkpatrick, the two of them came up with what is now called the New World Kirkpatrick certification. So basically what they said was when Donald did it, he created level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. And he didn't do too much detailing into what those 4 levels looked like. So when Jim and Wendy started working on it, they realized that there needed to be a little bit more detailing and explanation of what is level 1 with some key items that they thought would be useful. So which is why they said level 1, when they thought about it, what does it mean? It is reaction of the participants. So when we are trying to think, what is it that the participants are experiencing when they undergo a training program? So are they feeling engaged? Is the program relevant to them? Are they, as customers of the program, feeling satisfied about it? They feel happy that, yes, they invested their time and their effort into a program. Was it worth it for them or not? So if all of those are a tick, then yes, absolutely, it was a great level 1 and good reactions. If there are some things that haven't worked well, then possibly there is something that needs to be done more. Before I continue though, I do want to tell you that anytime you have questions, please post them in chat and we will try and answer those questions as they come up. We do have a small question answer session at the end, but let's not wait till the end. If anything pops into your brain while I'm talking or Benaifer is talking, please go ahead and ask questions in the chat window and we'll answer them. So yeah, level 1 was that, and level 2 was more about, okay, people have attended a training program. Have they learned anything as a result of the training program or not? And because that's one of the key purposes why people come to attend something, that they want to learn something. And with that, when Donald Kirkpatrick was talking about it, he was talking about knowledge in terms of understanding, a little bit of the skills, and maybe a little bit of the attitude as well, saying, are they feeling that they are actually going to apply this back on the job or not? But then when Jim and Wendy Kirkpatrick were working, they decided that confidence and commitment were 2 other things that they wanted to include in learning, because at the end of having attended a training program, a person should feel confident that, yeah, I have learned the skill enough that now I'm going to be able to go back onto the job and start to apply it. And not just should I feel confident, I should want to do it. I should feel committed to do it. So have I done a little bit of mindset shifting as well in the training program or not? Because if I have not, then I might be confident to do it, but if I'm not committed, then hey, I'm not going to really spend my time doing that so much. So that's where they came up with level 2. And then level 3 and 4 is really where, changes happen, the magic happens for business. Level 1 and level 2 are very training centric levels, because it is for us to know that the program is going well, things are going well, people are learning, people are feeling like they want to go back and apply. But level 3 and 4 is actually when they're back on the job and they're starting to apply the knowledge that they have got. So that's where, when they thought of level 3, that's when they were talking about level 3 behavior. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at a question which has come up here. How do you measure level 2 that's a whole different conversation. We'll get into some of that, but not too much. That's the 2-day program that we'll spend time on. But let me quickly walk through the model and then we'll see what we can answer. So level 3 behavior, when Donald Kirkpatrick was talking about it, he was talking mainly from a point of view of on-the-job learning, that people will attend the training program, they'll go back into the job, and then they'll start applying those behaviors. But hey, research found out that that doesn't happen. It's only, 1 out of 6 participants who attend a training program, if they have been given no other support apart from the training program, only 1 out of 6 participants may possibly change behavior on the job. Now that's a pretty dismal number, right? As people who are trying to do learning evaluation, I can't say I got 1 out of 6. That's a crappy number. So I need to do something about it. And that's where, level 3 really becomes magical when you have that outer lighter green circle, which is the monitor, the reinforce, the reward, and encourage. So we put in a system of monitoring the participants doing the right behaviors. We put in a system of reinforcing the behaviors by doing, maybe refresher training programs or giving them job aids and things like that. We do a reward system saying you do good behaviors, here's a reward. It doesn't always have to be monetary. It could even be rewards in terms of appreciation. It could be rewards in terms of great feedback, whatever it is that's happening, and encouragement by by peers, by managers, by the general ecosystem where you get some good reward. So that's where the real ensuring that behavior change happens through all of this monitoring system and the reward and reinforcing system that we put into place. And then finally, with regard to results, it is about saying that I want to reach the top of a mountain, but I am right now somewhere at the base or even below the base of the mountain. And suddenly I have to show the link from that below the base of the mountain to the top of the mountain. It's not really possible. What I mean to say is I'm doing a communication skills program, and the result that the business leaders are expecting is a 2% increase or 5% increase in sales. A communication skills program can actually lead to that. How do I show that? I did the program and the sales increased, but who's giving us credit? Nobody. They're saying, yeah, the market changed, the kind of training, the kind of, support that we gave them at work, that changed, the kind of incentive system we put in place, that changed, everything changed, but the credit is never given to the training. So which is why it is important for us to have a discussion with the business leaders, even before we start any training program, to understand what is it that is going to change for you. If your people start to do things the way you want them to do, how will you know? And that's when the kind of questions they answer, and they let you know that I think that they will have more repeat customers. I think they will have more customer inquiries coming in, or more sales calls that they're doing, whatever it is that happens. And all that will lead to increased sales. Okay, so now I have a link and a little bit of evidence to show to them that yes, all these changes can happen. So those are the few changes that the Kirkpatricks made. And what they really said was that this is a big orange box right here, and there's a double-edged arrow here. What they said was this double-edged arrow is that if level 4 is not happening, I need to make changes right here in this support system that I'm giving them. Because if I take them from here back into training, which happens quite often, where somebody attended training program, they are not doing the right things, they're sent right back into training. It's not like they don't know. It's not like they haven't learned. It's simply that they haven't yet applied. And we need to find out why aren't they applying and what do we need to do about it. So that's why this is a double-sided arrow while this is not. There might be some times when all this is working, it's just that they haven't understood. Sure, you can send those people back into training, but not everybody. I'm going to just take a moment to see what questions are here and see, if there's anything that I can answer right now. Applicability of third level of Kirkpatrick in business context. Okay. How do you measure confidence and commitment specifically? Well, those are things that you can ask through surveys. You can do observations, you can do post-program interviews or focus group discussions. All those do help in measuring confidence and commitment. A proper TNA would play an important role in any part, not just confidence and commitment. In any part of a training evaluation, if you want to do the evaluation, you would have needed to know what is currently not happening well. And unless you know that, it's very, very difficult to say, okay, I have fixed it. So yeah. Sometimes it's difficult to define very clearly how will behavior change impact business outcome. Doing a training program in influencing for managers, absolutely. And the good thing with Kirkpatrick Deepa is that with Kirkpatrick, you will still be able to show, even with behavior changes, the impact on the business outcome. And that is simply because on this purple box, these leading indicators, this is your chain of evidence that you will build, which shows that as a result of the influencing skills program that I did, X happened and Y happened and Z happened. And because all of this happened, you are able to show the business outcome that happened. So it's important you keep all this in mind as we go through our conversation with Benaifer. So very quickly, level 4 is the results. To what degree do targeted outcomes occur as a result of the learning and subsequent reinforcement? I bold, highlight, and underline that. To what degrees do participants apply what they learned when they're back on the job? Learning is all about how much of knowledge, skills, and attitudes did they take as a result of the learning event they attended, and to what degrees participants react favorably to the learning event is the reaction part of it. So what I would like you to do is, again, do a final Menti poll for today. Just go to menti.com and please tell us at what levels you are currently evaluating. Are you evaluating 1, 2, 3, 4? You can do multiple choices. So whatever levels you are evaluating, please go ahead and click on those. Absolutely. Application gap may happen if training hasn't covered practical scenarios. Very true. It's important to do a lot of role plays, particularly if it's behavior-based training. If it is otherwise, then a lot of practice, technical training, a lot of practice does help as well. To your good question, that is the biggest problem of learning evaluation, and very true. It's not necessary that they'll go back. So it is important for us as learning professionals to identify, key sponsors who will help us, have those connections that are necessary in order to give the right support to the participants. So whether it is somebody very senior within the organization, or whether you make, connections with the leaders or the supervisors of the participants, all of it can help. I'm just going to stop sharing and go to the Menti screen just to take a look at the results that we're getting. So just give me a moment. Here's the results we're getting from Menti. So mostly people are evaluating at level 1 and 2, and a few of you are evaluating at level 3 and 4 as well. So wonderful. I'm so glad that you're already on your journey to evaluate at these levels. So it's great that then we can use Benaifer's experience here today to talk more about everything else that we want to talk about. So just a very quick I think in Kirkpatrick parlance, we do not use the word ROI so much, ROI being return on investment, because that's not a philosophy that we subscribe to too much. The philosophy that we subscribe to is that of ROE, which is return on expectation, which simply put means that, you know, even before I design a training initiative, even before I say that it is going to be a training initiative and not any other kind of initiative, I have a discussion with the stakeholders, with the people who have come to me with the training need. And what I ask them is, what will change as a result of the training program? What kind of metrics will change? What kind of behaviors need to change? All of that. And when I'm able to show them that those metrics have in fact shifted, I'm not saying that they have shifted only because of training. I'm saying that training has been a contributor to those metrics shifting. And that is a much more powerful way of working with business, because then you are saying we are partners. You've done something, the market has done something. So that same sales example that we spoke about earlier, yes, the market condition changed. Yes, the product became more efficient. And also, yes, that the training that we provided helped the participants, change their behaviors, which allowed the sales to go up. So return on expectation is what we want to talk about, and not so much return on investment. All right, so now that's me talking, and I think I've spoken quite enough. I want to give you the benefit of Bennifer's experiences here. So let's jump right in and have a conversation with her now. So Bennifer, starting off, who inspired you to attend the Kirkpatrick certification program? I mean, what made you come and join the certification program when you did?
So the whole Kirkpatrick model, I'm sure everybody who's an MBA would know, it's a part of our curriculum when we do the MBA. So I was a 2009 pass out, and I had studied the Kirkpatrick model. In fact, even during the interview, it's a known fact. When you're preparing for the interview, you have to go back and learn your Kirkpatrick model, because that's definitely going to be asked in the campus recruitment. So yes, it was stuck in my head. When I joined eClerx, I immediately, they had level 1, the reaction feedback being captured, but I redesigned the whole thing. And then we also slowly moved to a level 2. 3 and 4, honestly, at that point in time, weren't a priority. The scale was low, not that many expectations as well. So it was all right at a level 2. But in 2019, we decided that we want to move to a next level now. As an L&D team, we're doing very well. We are able to deliver the results that the business expects us to. And now what do we do next? So coincidentally, at that time, I was also initiating this entire leadership development program. And as part of that, we wanted to introduce some kind of experiential learning. Right. So after the programs with different learning partners, and this is for the senior management, so I'm talking about the VP plus levels. So out there, they decided that, okay, let's have action learning projects. And then we formed cross-functional teams. And I was heading this project on training effectiveness. Right. So that was an executive project that was given to us. And my senior said, okay, just do some research, find out some certification, some program that's available in the market, which can really help you take us to the level 2. Mm-hmm. So we said, okay, I started doing some research. Again, Kirkpatrick came into my mind. So I was doing some research in terms of partners who can get me Kirkpatrick evaluation certified. And that's when C2C OD came up, and I contacted you guys. Registration was like really simple, and yeah, that's how it happened. Now, the good part is that after I did the certification and I went back, we had that entire project completed successfully. We presented to the CEOs, to the board of directors and the entire senior management at an event that was specifically held for this. It was called the Champions League, and training effectiveness won the first prize.
Woohoo! Wow, I didn't know that. That's great to hear. Awesome. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
So ROE was established for us.
Wonderful. That's so good to hear, because okay. Cool. Thank you, Benefer. And I'm just reading a question. Srinivas is asking, it is easy to prove ROE. How do you bridge that positive change in E has contributed to incremental result? Because you have contracted with business right at the beginning, Srinivas, and you have asked them what will change, and you have shown them that it has changed. So the contract is not to show that I contributed X amount to that. It is to say that I contributed. And in most businesses, I have found that, that has worked for the business because they want to know that, yes, training has contributed results. And if they're the ones who told me what is going to change, then it changes. And we'll probably ask for Benefer on how that experience was for her. Benefer, were you able to show ROE or did you show exact contribution?
We were able to manage an ROE.
Yeah.
To the level possible. I won't say that all the programs we did, we could reach a level 4.
Yeah.
But very happily, I can say that at least level 3 we achieved, which until I did the certification was only till a level 2.
Got it. Thank you. Cool. So, if you were to think back to the certification program, what were some of your strongest memories you have from the 2-day bronze program and the 1-day silver program that you attended? What do you recollect from that time? I know it's been a while, but let's stretch your memory.
Yeah, so I remember one of the programs was in Bangalore, one was in Mumbai. I think it was very, very immersive. I still remember we had formed these teams sitting on different tables. And then for each level, you had some activity planned for us. And then we were looking at the implementation strategies for each level, what challenges we can encounter. And then we were supposed to go back, present it to the larger group. They would give their input, and then eventually, of course, you would guide us and tell us how we could have done that better. I think the takeaway was that we always thought it's a very difficult thing to do, but you made it pretty simple. I still remember that when I walked out, I felt that now I can look at things from a more strategic lens, and overall, I feel that every L&D professional is here to deliver business results. Absolutely. And not really run after reaction. And I think the takeaway from the program was that I felt it was very, very business focused. You kept telling us, we kept talking about other things and you kept driving us back to nahi business impact kya hai. So I think that was the biggest takeaway.
Awesome. I'm glad because the whole premise of the Kirkpatrick 4 level is, are we giving the business the kind of results that they are expecting? And whether it is numeric in terms of X percentage of change, or whether it is in terms of, hey, customer testimonials were great, whatever it is which is relevant to business, if we can give those memories, I think that's what is important. Okay, wonderful. So moving on, what I wanted to check with you was, when you went back, things would have changed, right? I'm so sorry. It would have been that your stakeholders would suddenly see, okay, till yesterday, L&D was behaving in one way and now they're suddenly behaving a little differently. So, what kind of reactions did you face from your stakeholders? Were they positive reactions or were they pushing back saying, hey, tum humse kitna kaam karaoge? How much work will you make us do now? So did you face any of that? And if so, what was it like for you?
Yeah. So yes, a lot of changes. In fact, the first level of change was within the team. So if you remember, we were 2 of us from the L&D team who had come in for this workshop.
Right.
And then after we went back, I had to do these road shows with different team members across cities. And I brought them up to speed with how we can go about the whole training effectiveness thing, because it's not one person driving it. It's all these, this team of 30, 35 folks who will be doing it for the larger organization. Yeah. All of us need to speak the same language. So road shows was the first bit. Nice. Second thing that we changed was that we wanted to drill it into the business that, listen, training is not an L&D baby. We are not solely responsible. It has to be co-owned by the business. Yeah. So yes, there were some stakeholders who were extremely forthcoming with this whole thing. There were some who had their own resource constraints or time constraints, and they would say, "नहीं हमको इतना ही चाहिए," you know. But the way we changed our approach was, like you rightly said, TNA is the main thing, right? So we would do a very thorough need analysis. We changed the way we did the need analysis.
Right.
So we started asking them a lot of questions like, why do you want this program? What will be the business impact of this program? Agar business impact hoga and there's actually change in behavior on the job, how will you get to know that the behavior has changed? Who will notice that the behavior has changed? Will those people also be supporting us in reinforcing things on the job for those guys? Because
Right.
L&D team is just a small little team. Today, if me as a trainer, I'm doing one workshop with 30 people, then again after 2 days, 30 people, I have hundreds of folks I will cover. I can't go and monitor what they're doing on the job. It has to be co-owned with the business. So those kind of questions we started asking. A lot of times the answers would eventually lead to the conclusion that training was not an answer. So they would come to us with a training request. But eventually we would say, you know what, just change your policy or, you know, the process that you are following, or maybe communication kar lo, ek roadshow kar lo, and that's the, you know, the issue will not come again.
Yeah.
But some of them would again lead to some kind of ROE. So we would very clearly define at the outset with the head of business that these are the 3-4 things that you expect out of it. What will be the leading indicators, and then make the entire approach accordingly.
Wonderful.
So yes, I think it was a mixed reaction, and it's been a good journey.
Wonderful. I know I've had, you know, past participants talk to me about how one person in a fairly big organization, and I don't want to name them, she didn't have a single supportive business leader. So she just, you know, she couldn't do anything because up to level 2, she was obviously able to do because it was in her control. But at level 3, she did what she could do in her control in terms of making sure that she did refreshers, she did job aid, she did whatever she could do with her control. But she wasn't finding any traction with the business to, you know, take it beyond that. And she kept chipping away. I have to give her credit for her perseverance because she kept at it. And then finally, she found one person in a small team who was willing to, you know, work with her on a small project and say, okay, fine, I will give you some support. Let's see how it goes. And that's the project which actually allowed it to take off within the organization. And now it's an organization which doesn't do any program without, you know, a clear need being identified. They don't evaluate everything up to level 4. No organization should, because it is time and resource intensive. But what she was able to do was change the mindset. And that was purely through perseverance. And clearly you've, you know, the road shows that you did was an absolutely wonderful idea. And what you mentioned about, you know, changing the mindset that L&D is not my baby alone. It's a joint responsibility. I know so many times when I speak to business people whose responsibility is learning, L&D, I mean, they'll take care of it. And what's your role? Nothing. We'll send the participants to training. They feel they're doing, you know, a big favor just by doing that. And that's not the
because somewhere I think they feel that L&D will not be able to help me with my business results.
Correct. Yeah.
It's just a tick mark activity. Unko baat karna अच्छे से आ जाएगा, confidence आ जाएगा, भेज दो.
Absolutely. And that's such a shameful thing for us as L&D because that's the box we've been slotted into. But I'm so glad that mindset is slowly shifting because L&D is doing things a lot more differently than we used to do before. So it's wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So moving on, you know, what challenges did you face? How did you overcome those challenges? So one is, you know, the reactions of the stakeholder, but you would have had other challenges as well. What kind of things came up for you and how did you go through those? What are your experiences?
So when I did those roadshows with the L&D team and we started implementing things, I think it worked very well for one set, which is the whole hard skills team, you know. So it's very quick for them. You know that there is a certain, say, revenue attached to upskilling somebody on something because that guy will start using that on the process. The process is being built. So you can just, you know, put some percentage out there and then you have this ROI sort of thing. For soft skills is where I face the challenge, and I manage the whole soft skills bit, right?
Right.
So, and within that as well, you know, manager development is a little more difficult because they're not really into execution, but people management.
Yeah.
So I think that is where my challenge was. So we took baby steps. I won't say I've 100% succeeded in taking that to a level 4. But I would say that we've done all we could. So earlier we used to have one-time training programs. So for example, I remember way back in 2010, one 8-hour training program on business communication skills. So tum aao, tum English ka expert ban jaoge. So we moved away from there, one-time training programs.
Right.
And then we started having these elongated, you know, journeys, and it would be blended learning. So not only instructor-led trainings, in fact, even instructor-led training, we would ensure ke 2 hafte mein ek baar, ya, you know, one every week. And then you do it over a period of a few weeks.
Right.
The content that we started making, I remember that during the workshop as well, you kept telling us that it has to be a learner-centered approach.
Right.
And we went back and we kind of introduced more experiential learning, lot of role plays. So when we would do the training need analysis, what time we would also get from the business, from the participants, their managers, their team members, what kind of scenarios happen on the job. And then we try and plug it into the content. And that kind of content, after the training, what we started doing was also measuring your L2 through pre and post scenario-based assessments. Because again, hard skills, very easy.
Right.
Soft skills, not easy.
So
you have to
easy.
make a lot of these scenario-based assessments.
Yeah.
And uske baad, we didn't leave them there. A lot of times your training program khatam ho gaya and it ends over there.
Right.
We started doing a lot of reinforcement. You spoke about that whole circle, right? We do all of that.
Nice.
So for example, there would be a lot of micro learning. So we would be sharing some articles that are freely available, some kind of maybe ebooks that are freely available, some videos that they can go and watch, which would reinforce what they've learned in the workshop.
Right.
We would also ask them to submit assignments at times. And then we had identified objectives for each program. And we put that on our LMS, and then we started triggering these surveys to the participants and their managers to see if 2 months later was there an improvement or there wasn't. Then post that, wherever L4 was possible, we started doing action learning projects, and we would give them very clear guidelines that at the end of the project, you're either supposed to impact the revenue or cost or customer satisfaction, so that it's clearly measurable. And then that would result in a lot of these ideas being generated, maybe some new process idea somebody's come up with, etc. So we had a lot of savings out there in certain interventions. And wherever possible, jahan pe maybe if it's something around improving your attrition, okay, or increasing your employee engagement, there we would need the HR business partner support as well. So we started getting them also into the picture, and then sometimes we would have mentors assigned on the job for these folks. And you know, one of the questions that I saw very interestingly, I want to address that. See, all this you cannot do for your entire janta, okay? So my manager development was for 2,000 folks. I could not have done this for all 2,000. So what we started doing is customized interventions, where we would go in depth, okay, and then do the entire TNE to L4 ka journey for that set of 15 to 20 to 25 folks.
Right.
And that way we had maybe 3-4 customized interventions running, and we would show an ROE on those interventions, not the Aam Janta programs. Those would be at a level 2.
Perfect. And I'm so glad you brought that up, Vinayfar, because we don't want people going away thinking कि हाँ हर चीज को level 4 तक करेंगे, or you know, we want to even attempt to do it because it's a pure waste of time. And I'm glad you brought that up, because people do need to realize that it is only on mission critical programs. I remember I met Donald Kirkpatrick just before he passed away. That was in 2014, I want to say, somewhere there. And I met him just before that. And the one thing he said to me was that, you know, make sure that people are not evaluating everything up to level 4. That is not the point of evaluation. Get them to do only mission critical programs. And I asked him, what do you mean by mission critical programs? And his thing was, those are the kind of programs which make a big difference to the organization. You know, the organization, the senior membership or the senior leadership is invested in the program. They feel that if that program goes well, it can lead the organization into a whole new or a different or a better direction, which could even be something as simple as reducing attrition or increasing sales, because those are big things for an organization. Or it could be we are rebranding, or it could be we are implementing a whole new software across the organization, which happened for a hospital. And for a hospital to change their software was a huge deal, right? So those are mission critical programs, and those are the kind of programs we do want to evaluate all the way up to level 4. So I'm glad that you are doing that already. Awesome. There are a couple of questions. Let's take a look, Benefa, before we move on. Somebody's asking, Tio's asking, time-wise, level 1 and 2 can be estimated, but not level 3 and 4, correct? Yes and no. So the idea is level 1 and 2 kind of happen either immediately, either during the training actually. As the session is going on, you can do level 1 and level 2. You can do it immediately after the training program, or you can do it slightly delayed after the training program as well. Level 3 and level 4 naturally will happen after, when they've gone back to the work. What you can do though during the training program or immediately after is ask indicative questions about, do the participants feel that they will change certain behaviors, or what kind of results do the participants feel they'll get once they go back and implement the behaviors on the job. Now, these are called indicative questions, and those are good questions to have for both situations. One is that you're not going to evaluate after level 2. Like a lot of programs, your Aam Janata programs, as Benefa called them, will be just at level 2, and you'll stop it at that. So there also you have some indication, some proof that yes, they will go back and change the behavior, or they'll not go back and change the behavior, or what kind of results are they seeing themselves achieving as a result of having attended this program. So it's useful in that scenario. It's also useful in the scenario where you are evaluating up to level 3 and 4, and then you start to realize that at level 4 results are not shifting, or at level 3 behaviors are not changing, and then you're wondering, should we send them back to training? But hey, training में तो उन्होंने बोला था ये result आएगा, this is the kind of behaviors we saw changing. So is there something else which is at play here? And that's when you might start to realize that it might be, you know, the culture of the organization, it might be the conditions on the job floor, it might be the particular supervisors that they're working with. A lot of things might be at play which are not allowing them to change those behaviors. So I have digressed from the original question Tio asked, but if you do ask indicative questions and then you are going to evaluate at level 3 and 4, depending on the kind of training program, you may evaluate very quickly. So say, for example, if it is compliance related program and you've taught them to be compliant to certain laws or certain rules that have come up, then I will start evaluating for behavior from the next day. But if it is very soft skills, behavior oriented, I might say, let me give them, you know, I might start the support system very quickly, immediately after the program, but formal evaluation, I might do say 3 weeks later, 6 weeks later, up to 6 months, up to a year. And if it is a long-term journey, if it is a, you know, journey of 3 or 4 years, then throughout that, I will continue to do those behavior checks and the results checks as well. So yes and no in that sense. How does the TNA change basis level required? Can you give an example? Shivdas, I don't know if the TNA changes too much. So if I am going to evaluate up to level 4, then yes, I will be asking a lot more detailed questions in terms of how do they see behavior changes. And like Benefa said, right, she spoke about the kind of questions she started to ask her stakeholders. How will you know things are changing? What kind of metrics will change? How do you know that your expectations have been met? I would do TNA at that level. Where, I mean, this is not just the TNA, and I'm using the word TNA very loosely. This is the identification of everything, right? if it is a level 4 or 3 that I'm going to evaluate, I would ask those questions to the senior management. I would ask those questions to the supervisors of the participants, everybody. Whereas if it is pure TNA, just to understand what is the training need itself, I might do observations only of the participants, or I might only speak to their managers, understand what's going on, and then design a program basis that. So the depth of the questions that I ask might vary based on the kind of levels that I want to evaluate at.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Nathan, I don't know how I'm pronouncing it right, but absolutely. Level 1 and 2 are definitely in our control, which is why L&D has been most, rigorous in making sure we do level 1 and 2, but level 3 and 4 is very much, back at the work. And that is why we need to create that learning ecosystem in the organization. And we need to have a little bit of maturity within the organization. I love what Vinay said earlier on, that, for 2 years we were doing things and we were doing really well. And that's when we started to realize we can now do more. So you need to have a little bit of maturity within the organization overall and within the L&D system as well before we take it on. Thank you. Can you differentiate between level 3 and 4? Level 3 is behaviors which are changing on the job. Level 4 is results that occur as a result of those behaviors changing. So if, for example, somebody is, influencing using the 3 golden skills, then what is the result that will occur out of that? Maybe they have fewer escalations, maybe they have more sales, maybe they have more, customer satisfaction reports. What happens as a result of them doing the behaviors right? And then you build that chain higher and higher and higher up to you reaching the highest level in the organization.
If I may add to that, Preeti.
Of course, please.
Yeah, so let's take an example that I mentioned earlier. So for example, you want to improve the employee satisfaction scores, okay, the team engagement scores. That would be your level 4, because that's a metric that you're trying to chase. But level 3 would be behaviors that would result to that. So for example, one of the behaviors could be that you're rewarding adequately the right people at the right time. You're giving feedback, continuous feedback to them, which is constructive in nature. You are ensuring that the team bonds very well. You are having the performance expectations that are set right. So are the managers, displaying or demonstrating these behaviors on the job would be your level 3. And eventually, what did it lead to? Was there improvement in your team satisfaction scores? Great, then that is your level 4. That's how we've done it here.
Perfect. That's wonderful. Thank you for adding, Vinay. Okay, so and I'll explain this term to everybody else in just a moment, but did you find any shining stars who helped you along your way, and who were they and how they helped? And before you answer, let me explain what shining stars means to everybody else. This is a very Jim Kirkpatrick term. He drilled this into my head when I was attending the training with him, and it is simply people who I spoke about this lady who wasn't finding anybody to support her in her journey of Kirkpatrick, and who wasn't finding any support in business until she found this one support in that small project that she did her 4-level evaluation for. That person in business is her shining star, because not everybody, and like Benefer explained to you as well, not everybody was forthcoming and not everybody was happy to say, okay, let's embark on this journey of level 4, because this also means a lot of work from the part of the business, because they suddenly realize that they have a, role to play when it comes to implementation of learning back on the job. So, hey, not everybody is going to support you, but you will find 1 or 2 shining stars. Start working with those. So that's what I'm asking Benefer. Did she find shining stars, and who were they, and how did they help her? Go for
Yes.
it, Vanessa.
In fact, when the workshop was ongoing and you explained this term to us, I could immediately think about this business head who's always been very forthcoming when it comes to any kind of L&D initiative. And yes, he indeed was my shining star even after I went back. We launched 2 big programs in that business unit. The third one is going to be initiated very soon. The first are ongoing at the moment. So I can't really say whether I have or have not achieved the ROE, but I think the way he managed the whole thing, the way he was involved throughout the journey, right from defining the ROE to getting down to whom should we invite in the focus group discussion for the need analysis,
Right.
then going back and identifying those behaviors that will change, understanding, okay, this guy will be able to observe, nahi, ye nahi, aap ye level ko dekho and all that.
Yeah.
He was involved in also validating if the learning partner that we have is in sync with what is happening. We designed surveys for different participants, managers. He validated those. In fact, when we kickstarted the program, he did the context setting with the participants.
Nice.
He did a session with their managers to tell them that your guys are going through this program, so now you guys have to support.
I like this person.
Right. Absolutely. And then the best part was the level 3, which is your mentorship, where they'll be reinforcing things on the job. He handpicked the mentors who will be assigned to these guys, and he addressed those mentors. He validated the mentorship form that we created.
Nice.
And he also conducted one of the sessions himself.
Wow.
So I think that kind of involvement, when people see from the business head, they know this is something serious and this is exciting and we want to be a part of it.
Wonderful. I'm so happy for you that you found this shining star, because not everybody does. But I'm so glad it was there on early for you. But for others who don't find it very early on, there will be somebody. It's just about persevering and saying, okay, how do I keep looking for them? And because if you can get this kind of support, like Benefer is mentioning, talking to the managers, because the managers very often, without wanting to be, are the biggest hindrance in, the behavior change happening, simply because, there is business pressure. Business as usual has to go on. If people are trying to change behaviors, they're becoming slower. So, efficiency is going down sometimes. So they say, nay, whatever you did, now you do this way. Or they might just not agree with the philosophy and say don't change, or they might have their own agenda sometimes. So if they were able to speak to the managers, I think they did the biggest service for you in helping the program succeed. Wonderful. Okay, there is a question which is coming in from Facebook. We have some people who've logged in at Facebook Live as well. And the question is, how can I learn the in-depth understanding on Kirkpatrick? How can you share a few articles and books to refer? In-depth learning, understanding of Kirkpatrick can happen through attending the certification program, which we will share details of with you at the end of this. Apart from that, you can definitely read books and articles. If you go to the website of the Kirkpatrick Partners, it is www.kirkpatrickpartners.com, and I'm sure Ramuna and Judith will share more details about this with you. You can just sign on there. There's a bunch of free resources which are available. There are articles, there are case studies. It's my go-to website even today, because
Same here.
Oh, wonderful. So there's a lot that you can take from there. So please go ahead and take a look at that, Meenakshi. Okay. More or less last couple of questions for you, Benefer. You attended silver certification as well. So where are you on that journey now? How's it going for you?
So for the silver bit, so there's this one program that I would say is like close to whatever I have learned even through the silver certification. So that one is on improving the storytelling capability. And this is for a bunch of senior folks. So we're talking about, I think there were around 19 odd people who had to be improved on the presentation skills capability. at the AVP and the VP levels within the business unit of the Shining Star I was talking about.
Right.
So out here, the kind of approach that we adopted, we tried and implemented everything that we could. So the first thing we did was to define what the ROE would look like. And then we did these focus group discussions with the managers of the AVPs and VPs along with the business head. Then we went ahead and we designed this survey with the behavioral indicators that we derived as a result of the analysis that we did. And that was done by the participants themselves, that was done by their managers as well, so that it establishes the need for change. That here is where I thought I was on my presentation, and here is what my manager thinks about it. And later on, we had a lot of these workshops, but before we even began the journey of the workshop, it was important to ask ourselves the question that if presentation skills, which is a very soft skill, if that is improving, how am I going to really figure out if it has changed or not? So we said, okay, over and above the surveys that we are doing, why don't we video record the presentations of these guys? So it was a huge activity. We went and video recorded a 20-minute presentation for each of the participants. And then we went into the program. Like I told you, it was a journey based. We had like some 5 different workshops, 4 of them by a learning partner. 1 of them, like I told you, the business head himself conducted it. The content was very learner focused. So all the inputs that we gathered, it was very, very relatable and it was very engaging. So you would be asking what they want to learn, and then you would be delivering content which is exactly aligned to that.
Nice.
In fact, the session that the business head did, in that he included some verbatim feedback that we had got on the presentation skills of these guys from the onshore partners who are a part of all these presentations that these guys generally do.
Nice.
And their managers. And then at the end of it, he did this brainstorming session where they spoke about what challenges they are still facing after going back and applying what they learned from the workshop and how we can address those challenges. So that happened. We followed it up with a lot of reinforcement. So like I was telling you earlier, we do a lot of micro learning. We also have tie-ups with some e-learning platforms. So we would share with them certain courses that would act as a reinforcement program for them. And all of that happened, post which we also started the level 3 bit, which is on-job learning, which is the mentorship part. That is WIP at the moment. So we've very carefully identified who that mentor should be so that he or she can add maximum value. Nice. We've given the business head himself address the mentors, set the expectations. We shared the mentorship form, which again was in alignment with the behavioral identifiers that we had at the outset of the program. And all of that is ongoing as and when they have these presentations. The mentor, by virtue of being a part of that particular process, would generally be there in that presentation, and he would give immediate feedback after the presentation on the form that we've created. And then we are tracking whether there is improvement in the scores and qualitative comments, etc. So yeah, that's ongoing. I think it will take another 3 to 6 months for it to really show a difference. But I think it's going pretty well.
But listening to what you're saying already, Benaifer, I think you're good to go ahead with submitting your silver certification. And I'm just seeing the time, and time has run away from us while we've been chatting. So very quickly, for those of you who are wondering what on earth silver certification is, the Kirkpatrick program is designed as bronze level certification, silver and gold. Bronze is a 2-day in-person program or online program that we run, where you understand how to create the 4-level evaluation journey. Silver is a 1-day program, which in face-to-face, in online version, it's 2 days of online, 2 3-hour sessions of online. And what you do is think about, okay, I'm going to roll out the program that I designed and the evaluation plan that I designed, and how is that working? So you reach level 4 and you share back with us your journey, just like Benaifer is doing right now. And gold is actually not a certification at all. Gold is exactly what is Benaifer doing today, where she's sharing her learning with a set of people who are, you know, part of the industry. So when you do that, that's gold. So that is a journey that you could be on as well. What I would like to do is, Benaifer, very quickly, yes or no, would you recommend this to others as a program, as a
course.
certification?
Of course. I am still visiting the website for the templates and all those beautiful things that you've given us. It's very important for
Wonderful.
an L&D professional.
Awesome. Thank you. So if there are any other questions, please feel free to ask them, put them in chat. Also, what I wanted to share with you is for those of you who want to know more, a lot of you said you'd like to understand more about the 4 levels. We have a live online certification coming up in November. And hey, it's a 4-part series. And all of those of you who attended today or even registered for today, we have a special early bird pricing available. Early bird is actually over for it, but hey, we've opened it up again for you. And Neha, our team, Jijit, will reach out to you and they will share with you how you can enroll for the program, commercials, all of those will come to you. Over the next couple of days, you should be hearing back from us with details. But in the meantime, I do want to thank Benay so much for taking this time. I know it's been a lot of time and effort investment on your behalf. Thank you so much for being part of this, Benay. And thank you, everybody. I'm going to hang on for a few more minutes. If anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and put those in. If not, have a great day. Enjoy yourself. And we hope to see you in the online certification. Thanks,
Stay
guys.
safe.
Yes, absolutely. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks. Thank you, guys. There's lots of comments on chat. Benay for saying thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm being told I'm still on the Menti screen and not really sharing my slide deck at all. Okay, then. Oops. Tara says, lovely to hear of real-time application by Beneta.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shivdas. There are still quite a few people online and I'm not entirely sure why. If they have questions, happy to answer. If you're just here because you're away from your system, then we'll wait for a minute or 2 more.
That's a training conundrum as well, right? You're wondering, is he listening to me or not?
The online training conundrum. Shall we end the session? Because there's still quite a few people on.
Yeah, Preeti, we can do that.
So yeah, go ahead and end and Benefar, I'll connect with you on phone.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Preeti. Thanks, Benefar.